Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome to Watch This Now. The streaming services are always changing it up on us, and I am particularly over Amazon because they make it really hard to see what's leaving. They don't want you to know until the last minute. So I've got some last minute recommendations for you guys because of all the times we're all prioritizing our watch list. So I'm going to give you the best recommendations for movies leaving Amazon Prime before the end of March 2020. If you have not already caught my video covering what's leaving Netflix, feel free to check that out so you can catch all of the good stuff before it's gone. My first pick is Lake Mungo. This found footage film centers on an Australian family searching for their missing daughter. And it's more of a tragic family drama than a horror film, but there are creepy moments, and I would suggest this to anyone out there because the less is more found footage filmmaking really serves to great effect with this minimalist story. And really, this is a hard movie to find. You can't really find Lake Mungo anywhere, so everyone watch this before it's gone. The French Lieutenant's Woman is a movie that stars Meryl Streep, so I don't know, it sounds important. Another Meryl Streep movie is She-Devil, one of the few comedies Streep has done, and I haven't seen it, but from what I can tell, it is Meryl Streep versus Roseanne Barr. I couldn't ask for anything better, so I'm definitely checking this out before it's gone. Frozen, not the Disney film, but a thriller following three friends on a ski trip who become trapped on a lift when the resort closes for the weekend, leaving the friends stuck as the temperatures drop. This movie is disturbing and tense and real. This is one that I really wanted to put in another video that I'm planning on trapped horror films that you can watch on Amazon, a bunch of movies where characters are trapped, because I'm sure we can all relate. But this movie is leaving, so I have to talk about this one now because I think this is a really good underrated movie that not a lot of people have seen, but those who have know how good it is. Future World, the sci-fi thriller sequel to Westworld. For those who don't know, Westworld wasn't just an HBO series, it was a film in the 70s that got a sequel called Future World, so it's here. So if you want to watch it, do that. Another sequel is Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. This is such a sequel horror film that's much like Scream 2 and others, just being a sequel to the original, which you could say, sure, it isn't doing anything all that interesting or new, but hey, if you liked the original, you should like the sequel just as much. Spread is a drama starring Ashton Kutcher as a man whore in LA who leeches off of rich women who want to sleep with him. I mean, he isn't a full-on sex worker, but he pretty much is. I mean, this really explores the way people striving for success leech off of those who have it. And it's an interesting exploration. I really enjoyed this film. I actually own it somewhere in my movie collection. For those who are into comedy horror, I have a double dose of 80s fun, and they're both leaving on March 31st. What a bummer. We've got Teen Wolf and Once Bitten. So whether you want werewolves or vampires, take your pick. We've got a coming-of-age werewolf comedy or a romantic vampire comedy of sorts. Supernova is a sci-fi thriller starring Angela Bassett as people in space who pick up a man trapped out in space. Things get weird. You can guess how these space thrillers go, but I have always remembered this movie because I watched like a part of it when I was a kid, and there is a very memorable death scene in this film that was always very disturbing to me, which I won't spoil who it is, but someone gets launched the fuck into space. It is disturbing. For those who are fans of worst movies ever, you got Mac and Me leaving Amazon Prime. I have not seen this movie in full, but from what I have seen, I know that I need to grab some friends, grab a ton of White Claws, and get down with this because this movie looks absolutely ridiculous. Scarecrows is a bad slasher film from the late 80s about a group of criminals whose plane crashes into a farm after a bank heist, and they become trapped on some land with evil scarecrows stalking them. It's pretty bad, and I like bad 80s slasher films, but if you're into it, it's gonna leave soon, so catch it before it's gone, I guess. Anyone still into bad 80s horror, we've also got Dolls leaving, and I just recently watched this movie. It is ridiculous. If you like ridiculous bad horror films, you gotta watch Dolls. It's simply about people trapped in a house off of the side of the road during a storm, and the house is full of killer dolls. It's ridiculous. Just watch it. Tank Girl is a post-apocalyptic comic book movie about a badass woman out having tons of adventures in a world without water. It's like a quirky, wacky Mad Max for the 90s. Leaving the service, unfortunately, is one of my all-time favorites, and that is the camp classic from Brian De Palma, Carrie, the first of many Stephen King adaptations. This is, of course, the Cinderella Gone Wrong story of a telekinetic teenage girl invited to the worst prom ever. I love Carrie. It's so good. I find it so funny that when I was a kid growing up, this was always listed as one of the top horror classics, but now looking back on it, it just feels like a campy, fun movie, but I still love it. And also, I have to say, because I'm always gonna throw myself out there and stand up for movies that should not be stood up for, but also leaving is the many years later sequel, The Rage, Carrie 2. I am a sucker for 90s horror, and this was one of those shoehorned in their horror films that was trying to come off of Scream, and it was like, well, no one's made a crazy psychic teenager movie like Scream, so they did it. And it also happens to be a Me Too movie before the Me Too era. This is another one that horror fans will be like, not pass, because things really don't get gory until the end. But the end of this movie is awesome. People get killed with CDs. Jigsaw is also leaving the service. Bummer, this is the latest Saw movie. I actually didn't hate it. I mean, it really sucks, but at least the trap sequences are kind of fun. And hey, this is another one that I wanted to put on my list of trapped movies, but gonna be gone, so this is definitely a horror film to watch in the moment. The Killing of a Sacred Deer is also leaving, although it leaves on the 4th of April, so you have a couple extra days to watch this one. I don't love this movie at all, but a lot of people like Yorgos Lanthimos and his films, so this is one, if you haven't caught, you might want to see it just to check it off the list. Another Brian De Palma classic is leaving Amazon. Amazon, you're failing me. This is my favorite. Dressed to Kill is the problematic thriller from the early 80s about a cross-dressing killer who is picking off ladies. It's like the Psycho of the 80s. I really love this movie. It's not good in many ways, but I fucking love it. And lastly is the movie I've been waiting to talk about, so it's a bummer no one watches this far into the videos, but Creep is a creature feature thriller from the 2000s about a woman in London who ends up stuck in the subway system, hunted by crazy subway system creatures. It is like The Descent, except just one woman in a subway system, but it's really interesting and effective. It's quite short and sweet. I really enjoy this movie, and it was one of the top ones I wanted to have in my forthcoming list video of trapped horror films. But again, I can't do it. It's leaving the service, so definitely watch it. This is one of those underrated little horror films that I think everyone should see. Well guys, that does it for my list. What are you planning on checking out before the month is over? Let me know in the comments below and let me know what your favorites are. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share this one with your friends so they can all get their good watching in before these titles are gone. And subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. I'm going to be pumping out a ton of these list videos because the streaming services are always changing things up. Things are hopping from one service to the next, so I will be staying on top of all of that to give you the best recommendations at all times. Thank you guys so much again for watching. That is it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.